everybody, and welcome back to yet another episode of the Gameable Audio, a VGM podcast. And this episode is also going to be a very special episode as I have a guest here. This is episode 61. With me on the other side of the screen, we have Markus Zierhofer. Hello!
Hello everyone, good morning.
Good morning, good evening, good night, no matter where people might be listening and what time zone they might be listening in. But I definitely hope people will be listening to this in the mornings or during work or something like that. I think it can be really like a good settlement just to have that. I think it will be a good start, right? with the tracks that we've been syncing up for this week. So, you are a very special person. I've been seeing you here and there, and I just wanted to say first and foremost that we did connect a little bit more over first and foremost on LinkedIn, but one of the times where we actually got together and talked to each other was earlier this year in 2025 during Nordic Game Conference.
Yeah.
And it was so much fun to just get to know you a little bit more. And we started talking a little bit about, hey, we should make an episode. Do you want to talk a little bit about something? And you said you had a little bit something that might be really, really good for the podcast, in which we are going to talk about today.
Yeah, definitely. For me, always needs to have purpose. No, it's super fun also seeing you in person. It's always different when you're in person. That's why I try also to be at least a little bit around and talk to people because they're in between you hear more than just texting or online thingies. So that's why it's always super nice, to be able to. And Nordic was this time quite relaxed for me, so I was like, yeah, sure, why not? And thank you so much being here.
Thank you for coming. Now, like you said, it felt like you were a little bit more relaxed. You were actually walking around a lot of people. Usually when I tended to see you, you're always talking to somebody. So it feels like you have a lot on your plate. And I bet we will get to understand a little bit why you have so much on your plate during this episode.
I mean, it's life. I'm just stupid.
It is life. No, but before we dive into the specific talk that we're going to do today, for people that already seen the episode title, already know what we're going to discuss, but might not kind of say too much to them. But before we dive into that, I want to hear a little bit more about you, Markus. What's your origin story? Where do you come from, and what drove you into music?
Yeah, that's a very good question. I mean, basically, I'm originally from Austria, so I grew up in the music household from my father. So when I was 3 or 4 years old, what I've done, of course, is helping him plugging in cables into, sampler, to keyboards connecting to the Atari, recording discs and, installing Cubase and stuff like that. So... and that was basically how I grew up, and I also started piano with 3 or 4 years. So it was always for me quite there. so it's always a difficult question. It's I could not escape, and now doing it for 30 years. No, but further than I got also teaching for piano. So I was long time also just a pianist. And then with 10 or 11, I started really looking into composing as well. Then, you got I also got now a laptop. I can do this and test out things and,
But when we're talking about when you were a teacher and so on, teaching out and helping people with piano and so on, was this early in the age, or is this something after school that you did?
It was during my my bachelor's degrees. So I got after school, after graduation, I've been studying piano teaching and composition in Vienna. And also have been then, teaching a little bit on the side and stuff. And then I kind of finished my bachelor's degree in composition in Austria. And then at that time, it was the scene. Of course, Austria is great. The problem with Austria is that you know everyone in like 2 weeks, which is good and bad. And you have to imagine that in Austria, the media world, especially when you go like, you know, into it's looking, you know, into TV, film, and all that kind of jazz, and games was not too much yet there. Now it's very, very, very better. I'm like, they have like even like sometimes bigger meetups than in Berlin. No, which is great in Vienna. So it really developed, but at that time it did not really have that. So I was looking into go something else. And also do like my master's, because I've done my bachelor's, but I needed to start again over for the actual music production for film that time at the university, which also required to start from the bottom and takes 5 years again. And I said, like, it's stupid.
Oh.
and so
it sounds like a hassle indeed.
Yeah, and also, you know, again, Austria is rather small. It's one state in Germany. Austria is smaller than Bavaria, just to give you a scale. And so it's like it's a really small country in terms of the user base, the scene. And you literally have to wait for a few people to die to may get a chance to be in the position they're or having in those kind of scenes. So that's why you also see a lot of Austrians actually going abroad. You also see that in similar countries that are in similar sizes, like, you know, less or around 10 million of the people, because then you need to kind of go more international and abroad to actually do something or be able to do, because maybe, you know, it's simply not enough itself that can be sustained, which is the opposite in Germany. Germany is big enough to sustain itself, you know, we have 85 million. And if you count, like, you know, other German-speaking, you know, the perception is very different. So then my journey began to go to Berlin, or at that time Potsdam, where the film studios are, because there I got the application ready for my master's degree at the film university, which I was very grateful for. There I simply studied 3 years my master degree in media composition. The official title, I'm not joking, is Master of Music.
God damn. Yeah, I like it. I definitely love it.
Which is like, okay, I take it. That's fine. Do
you have a badge for it, or just a certificate?
I want to have the certificate in here hanging, yeah.
Yeah, would look really cool as a badge too. Master of Music.
I'm not even joking. I mean, my life is a joke and serious at the same time.
Except that certificate, though.
Yeah, it's always the same. But yeah, that was pretty fun, but also very different. So then I get to know like more and more people. I was also going into more games at that time, because, you know, if you're then, oh yes, I want to do film scoring, you learn like, I hate films and I hate people and I hate people in screens. So it was more related to games, and also there's a lot of game universities at that time. And so I simply could start like working on the first kind of, you know, student projects. And there I still have the old legend from a few tutors that know me and say like, oh, you're Markus, yeah, you have done like half of the class's games. So you can imagine if, like, you know,
you were that eager then.
So you have like 12 or 13 student projects, and I had like times where it was like 5 or 6 on one day for a presentation, and which is fine, you know. It's for me, you know, music doing, you know, writing, producing, it's all very, very natural. So for me, it's like easy. It's like, oh yeah, there we go. Yeah. Oh, here we go, done. Next. And it was also that time already, so it's like, for me, it was super fun. And also, actually, one of those student projects has been then nominated for Best Soundtrack at the Game Audio Awards 2018. So that was the first bigger one, yeah. Got third, was it third or second place? It was after Angry Birds.
That's amazing.
with a no budget student project. I was like, okay, interesting. People, thank you.
But considering the student projects and so on, was that connected to the university you were attending then, or was that this separate?
It was separate. So it's simply a few like colleagues said like, hey, yes, we can try to do like more corporations. And then I simply completely dived into and like, hey, yeah, if you have any project, just let's go. And there were not too many other from my class that did this. And I simply had more fun than doing, the 10th art documentary style, especially the university is great, but also in Vienna, it's a lot of documentary style of things, which then requires lots of music that's very like two-tone or one-tone, and the second tone is maybe too much again. So you have to be very, careful with music, so it's not like overwhelming the audience and not forcing them to feel, it's more like underlining. But yeah, it's a different topic, but for me it was simply a lot of fun to do so. But it was not directly with the university.
Okay. But one thing that comes to mind that a lot of people that I talk to already from early get-go when they started learning themselves instruments, and even if it's from a family or their parents were like, oh, they're natural in this or that. Like a lot of them doesn't really know they can do video game music, but when you're talking about it, sounds like a natural pathway for you. Did you start making like any music back in the day, like on the Atari or something like that, through a tracker, etc.?
Not really. I just was playing, also, of course, a lot of video games. Haha.
Big surprise, right?
It's a very big surprise. I mean, there are like people that never play video games and then doing like music, which is, also fine, kinda. But for me, it's like, simply about the understanding that you know what's going on, how it should feel and stuff. But I actually never have been really into trackers or those kind of things. So for me, that's very, it's cool, but it's difficult for me to perceive because I was not growing up with it. So I'm looking at it from like a more, okay, this is this kind of style and it uses this, while I have not a direct emotional attachment to those sounds, which a lot of other people do have. And it's sometimes like, oh yes, I want to do this. Oh, I want to have this because, nostalgia. And like, yeah, I've played games, but I've played games like Age of Empires and Caesar and a few others, or Tomb Raider. They all grow up, but I have not really that kind of tracker or even earlier retro style kind of things that I have like a deep emotional attachment to it. So it's like I'm usually, because I'm doing music for so long, it's also quite healthy. So that I can judge better and can also create something without being too attached to something that's just there because I like it, or I feel that's great, which is maybe total garbage, but because as a child I've been always listening to it is of course the very best sound of whatever created, which is totally untrue, but it's very personal. So it's I think it's fine. You have to keep a balance of like things that's also of course coming natural, but for me that kind of music's more like, it's I also done sometimes panels or interviews or presentations where I actually go also through the history of it. And even though people that have been growing up with those things had no idea about certain things, and that was quite interesting. Someone that has not like a big attachment to it, teaching like, oh, that's again, having sometimes a more neutral perception on it, and then go like in the research and deeper in the research actually brings always good stuff, because when you're growing up with it, you assume, oh, I know everything because I grew up with it, so I'm the master of everything, which is of course, again, untrue, because humans say untrue things and they're stupid. And that's, yeah. Anyway, I'm holding my monologues. If it's too boring, just...
No. I find it very interesting. It is so much fun to hear a little bit on the other side as well. Because, of course, like you're saying, some of these things are really untrue, because a lot of people out there, just by playing games, think they're experts on it, and they think they are so much better. But you see the same in so many other subjects, like football. Like how many middle-aged men that are like 3 times the size of a football player sit there and like, the guy is having so much faults in their decisions. Like that person wouldn't even last running one lane of that field, and all of a sudden they're the professionals.
I mean, it's fine to have that perception and consumer perception.
Yeah.
Ideally, you have also both, so that you have like a very more technical, okay, this is this and this and this, while someone else can also give you feedback, hey, this is great, but people are more emotionally attached to this. So you have like, from both sides, always a good view. But yeah, again, stupid humans. So that's why I also teamed up very early, like having more people I can work and spitball things, because it can be very based and can be not good.
But in this case, considering this, I think we can go a little bit into the company that you're running, Audio Creatures.
Yeah.
Like when did this company get formed?
So, I mean, it's more or less chronologically now, which is great. So after my study, I also worked on a lot of other projects, like for a colleague, also for Hollywood and a few other things. And also there I learned that, of course, it's not always great to have someone to overview and say like, hey, this is not good, you need to have like this or produce this. But it also shapes it sometimes better for the person is actually then perceiving or commissioning or using or whatever. So having a second view on it was then like, interesting to also explore, because often, especially in Europe or like when it's like not because we're not too structured, you then simply go like, oh yes, I go free to everyone, and then like, yes, I do great music, which can be true, can be untrue. Who knows? Nobody knows. And
listen, and you'll know.
I have no clue. And so for me, it was like, it's interesting, but to keep the quality also on a certain level, you need always to either, of course, keep yourself like, okay, you let it be, then listening again, reworking, and see that everything has also a objective quality in it and not just subjective one. For me, when I then got out of the university, I found a place here in Berlin where I can build like a small studio space. And from there, it kind of developed off the idea of having a small company running where like, people can always like exchange, but also work in their specialty fields. So what I also experience in the gaming industry and also a lot of other things, like, oh yes, you need to take care of everything. While in other industries that are older, you have a bit more separated tasks, which also makes more sense here and there. Especially, for example, what surely often comes across, like your sound designer or a composer, often come across in conversations with developers, meaning sound design is the same as music or composition. Oh, we need a sound design, while it's like, oh yes, that's music. It's often a lot of kind of misterminology happens, so like misterms. So education is always great, and it's always also, of course, up to people, and there are absolutely amazing generalists out there. That said, being a generalist and being an expert in everything is quite difficult. So when you're just starting out doing everything and say you're perfect in everything, that's a huge red flag for me. Because it's literally not, it's unhuman, You can be like the 1.1110, exception maybe, that like you have talent in all those kind of fields and all those kind of other things as well. And the experience and the professionalism when you're just starting out or got out of university, for example. I don't believe that in general.
Okay.
But I do understand it from the marketing perspective, but I always hated it to use it as a marketing. Like, oh yes, I can everything perfectly while I can't. Yeah. I always wanted to be more truthful, and also truthful for the people you work with. And so that's also a reason why I then work with a sound designer, then work with people that have more knowledge in this, help me with recordings, help me with whatever gist. Yeah.
Yes.
I'm good with Fmod, but I suck in Ys. So that's why I formed like Audio Creatures with my colleagues. So originally it was Nick and Jeremy. and still like Jeremy and I are the company owners for Audio Creatures these days, and also as a company you can also do a little bit diverse projects, which I also personally always liked, rather than staying in your like, oh, you're this artist for this type of music, now only do this, please. I'm like, okay. Sometimes you have to, you know, go through this, or oh, you're Austrian, here we have an Austrian. I'm like, yeah, that's okay. You're laughing.
It sounds a little bit comedical when you say there's an Austrian. I was like, yeah.
It's not comedy, that's my life. Anyway,
it is.
Can't take this shit serious. But yeah, as a company, also always strive to be more there also for people that want to go in the industry, and also have more people on one project rather than having one person dedicating a year to a project and then has been cancelled, because that also happens a lot. And that's why I like to have also for myself multiple projects, but also for other people that they're learning that you need to have multiple projects, because projects can be cancelled, and then you're working like maybe on 2 projects a year, and then both are getting cancelled, and then you have to completely restart everything. And so it is, so that's why also for sustainability a little bit, but also, you know, also the exchange, the kind of group factor, you know, because we're always often very alone in our holes in studios, which is great. I hate people. I hate them so much. But sometimes it's healthy to have a little bit of exchange and go out of your hole and have a normal conversation of like, oh, I hate humans, I hate you. Okay, great conversation. Okay, I'm getting back into the studio. So that's like, oh no. But,
it's like going back into your hole.
No, that's not how it is at our studio. No, but
one thing that kind of comes to mind as well while you're talking about this, usually when I talk and ask a little bit about compose, of course, depending on the project and so on, but most of them are kind of common that they would like to be on projects as early as possible.
Yeah.
But considering working on a project from your perspective, it sounds a little bit better for you to be by the end of the project, because that will most likely be sure to ship the product, for example. Or
no,
are you more wide that you'd rather be early on a project?
I mean, when you're starting on a project, that's, you know, a different topic, because some projects been going on for 5 years. Sometimes it's like a zombie project that's like, oh yes, we're having like our first initial funding. Oh, we have to slow down because we have no funding. Yes, we have maybe something. We have maybe something. Oh yeah, that's the next exhibition. 3 years later. There's a new feature. Oh, we're trying now community building. 5 years later. Oh, we have a Kickstarter now. So that's totally normal. That's development. It can be wild. It can have a lot of on and off times.
Yes.
And this is also something you kind of need to learn. And for myself, I'm totally fine with this.
Okay.
I hate it if like, oh, you have to only work on this for like, I don't know, a month or so. I'm getting crazy. My brain gets crazy if you have to work.
So you like the change a little bit.
Because then you have a pause, then you have a distance again, and then revisiting it, seeing more issues and can fix them. Rather like being in the hole, into the rabbit hole, and in the hole again for this project, and then it gets tiring and it's repeating, it's the same, and stuff like that. So always keeping it fresh, you know, or like keeping the balance, you know, if it's just, you know, I work it's 1 hour on this and then next week 1 hour, that makes no sense at all. But having it like 1 or 2 days dedicated to the project, then let it be for a bit, revisiting it, seeing like, oh, that's great, that's a great idea, but this is total bullshit. Why is this here? This makes no sense with the briefing I got. And then, but like, you know, that things that you created in the moment, which are great, but may not fit the overall perspective again when you're looking at it more objectively. So that's why it's good. Also, what happens a lot, that when you go into different worlds, you learn different kind of skills and have different kind of sounds that you may never have thought about could also work on a different project. So, so you can also may have some inspiration or point of views that you may not have never gotten to because you have not, if you would have not different projects.
Mm-hmm.
So for me, it's the balance that you have enough flexibility that you can go into this, and then but have like dedicated times where you can really work on it or know when things are up. And that's usually also in development. You have, specific goals. Oh yeah, there's early access, there's this, there's that. And of course, having always a conversation, and also a conversation very early, is amazing. That's great. But sometimes it can be too much or overwhelming, or, you create something which is great and then the project changes dramatically, which also happened, for example, to another project we've been working with. It happened exactly that. Like the original theme they have done like 5 or 6 years ago doesn't match at all the new aesthetics of the final game. So it changes, and that's also fine. And so at us, coming in very early or coming in 4 weeks before the release, which also happened.
Okay. That's interesting.
Is common and can happen.
Yes.
You need to simply be open and see like, okay, what's the most need? What does the project need? How can I help the project the most? Oh yeah, the sounds are crap here. So we're exchanging those sounds for the release. Thank you. You have to always see what makes the most sense. How can you help people in their situation? And because we also like having, we have most likely also the capability of having like, oh yes, you need a bunch of music or sound effects in a few days. Cool, fine. We can adjust a bit of time for this. Or like, having 2 or 3 people working on a few tasks for like 1 or 2 days, real quick. While, when you're a solo, okay, keep it simple. You're a solo. Sorry. We can talk about this later, but that's also why reasoning I have the company. When you're solo,
I fully understand, and it feels like you're really thinking about these questions. You have a lot to talk about, the different subjects and so on, and I really love that. It doesn't really feel like a tangent and so on in any shape or form, if I'm gonna be honest. I really like the openness that when you're talking about this, and it gives perspective, I would say.
Yeah, because you would, when you're solo, would have been in a bad situation or cannot may help. So, which is also totally fine. It's 2 different kind of things where it gets a little bit, and that's why I have it kind of separate. So like, hey, that's the company, and we do everything and trying to figure everything out for you. And, but at the end, we're all persons.
Yes.
So, of course, we can try our best to split ourselves in half, but can't. But where it gets like messy, which I've seen also a lot, and also people, also Nordic told me about, that no, it's more like this, like, which I also get, that's more like the Hollywood kind of thing, that where I also have been, where I want to have like more distance with those things.
Yeah.
It's more like, yes, it's that person, but it's actually a company.
Oh, okay.
And so like they're having like 2 or 3 people helping, may even not credited. And I don't like this. That's why I like to have like, hey, it's a company and the company has people. Rather than like, hey, I am this and I'm creating everything for you and that's my name. Even though maybe other people help me or do anything or I do nothing maybe, but it's still me because. But I do understand where it's coming from, because people are very attached to people.
Yeah.
Humans, again, are very stupid. So you are attached to a person. The human brain attaches like emotions, not to a company, but usually to a person better. And that's why, because it's so competitive, people go that route, which is fine. But for me, it's annoying. That's why, even though I might miss opportunities not going like this, it's better with my mentality state. And because I simply don't like the people or have like situations where it's like, but I do understand, because sometimes it gets messy. Sometimes you have those ups and downs, what we all experience. Like you have nothing at the beginning of the year, and then in the middle it's like 10 things at the same time and bombarding you. But still you want to keep the conversation or like the connection with the people. So I do understand where some positions can be messy. But if you can, and that's just for me personally, stay true. Like, hey, that's me, that's what I'm doing. Hey, that's the company. and the company has people, and would love to work with you, either like, of course with me maybe sometimes, but with us as a group.
That's amazing. But I think this is also a great segue. We're going to just in a moment dive into the first track of the week, but about Live Score Berlin. Like, how can you just give a little bit before, because we will go deeper into this, but how did that kind of collaboration start?
Yeah, that's
like,
a good.
How did the idea pop in?
Yeah, that's a good question. So it started, as you know, I've been studying at the film university, and we had collaborations with the film orchestra. That means once a year or so, we have the opportunity to record with them in the studio program for a film or media. So there I simply learned like how they operate, and the funny thing is that I kind of adapted this a little bit for an own project that I think started like 4 years now, or 3 years as a concept, which I then pitched to the local things, like because we got like a small funding, like when you found the company, you get like here and there support or people to talk with, and they say yes, they also have to do their own projects, or have to do this and this, and it's great that you're thinking about this. Oh, that's a cool thing. They all were super ambitious. So like, Mark, that's perfect, that's great. Everyone I talked to, like the associations, the local people, everyone loved it. It's a great concept, and the concept is simply that because usually the orchestra is not doing segments or like super small sessions, but as a student you have like half an hour or an hour to record, but usually they don't do it because it's too complicated for them, which makes total sense. It's also expensive when you do that. So I organized it very specifically for the game industry, where people can have just one single slot to record a piece that's like 2 or 3 minutes long, and simply split the day with them. So we're kind of the organizers for a session day, but having it focused for new media, because the film orchestra is great, but it has simply not a good base in the gaming industry. So it has lots of films, and from this Blood tour, everyone has also recorded with them. They're amazing, but because they've been very branded also with the film industry, they've never really got into the gaming industry. And it's simply a cool fit, because I can work with them to also be present in new medias as well. And then you can also see like on the tracks, for example, we then showcase that also the film orchestra is with them on Spotify and stuff like that. So it's like a cool opportunity for everyone involved to combine like, those kind of needs. Because the game industry versus the film industry, this is also what we talked about. The game development goes through a lot of cycles. That also means there's a lot of opportunity and use cases. Just 1 or 2 pieces actually have a big impact.
Yes.
For example, hey, we're having a very big trailer, or like the release trailer, so it makes sense to also use live music for this. Or hey, we want to do like this campaign, and we want to have like the main theme, and the main theme is already recorded, so it like has a very, very good emotional impact for people when they're listening to with the game, even though it's like early. Or, other use cases like, cinematics, or, because it goes through so many different kind of steps. Or what we also sometimes have, like medleys, or from already released titles. So, we have now album release of the music now, because we do this for a few $100. Having like the main theme recorded with the orchestra is a very good opportunity to raise also awareness for this, for example. So it's depending on like where you can also utilize it. It has a lot of use cases, and that's why it's so interesting, the concept, because you have always a lot of people. So we have about 10 to 12 per day projects, and that's simply amazing that this kind of works.
Yeah, no, I love this concept, and I really got interested when you started talking about this at Nordic Game, even though you didn't go into any details. But reading up on it even more now that we got connected and so on, and that we're diving into and listening to tracks this week is gonna be a blast. And trying to pick the brain and get a little bit more information how it kind of works, and also how the process and everything kind of goes during this, like from concept to actually a finished piece in the end.
Yeah.
So I think it's just better for us to just dive into the first track of the week, don't you?
Sure, yeah.
Awesome. So the first track of the week that we're listening to is the Wagadu Chronicles and the main theme. Fading out the first track of the week, the Wagadu Chronicles main theme. And for people that are new to this podcast, listening for the first time, for each and every song I usually have this segment called Emotion. It is basically me leaning backwards in my chair, turning the lights off and so on, put my headphones on, and I just close my eyes and have this song on repeat until I start to feel something. And I note these things down. And this is kind of a good little kind of get-go where we can continue our talks, me and the guest of the episodes. So basically my emotion for the Wagadu Chronicles here, the main theme, is with a completion of a structured melody and a soundscape, it reminds me of something big, something I want to explore. If it didn't have what sounds to me some sort of steel drum and marimba in the track, it might have just been something from a military game, much like the Rainbow Six series. I like the bombastic things that goes on in this. Well, all in all, it is a very grand track with fanfares and the very calling to adventure. So that is my emotion for this track. What do you feel about this?
Amazing, it's cool. I mean, there's like a story behind like all the creation of Wagadu and what we have done and explored. So this was one of the first kind of conversations I had like when I got like my studio space, like, oh yeah, hey Markus, I know you're from like wherever, like, hey, I have this project and it's exploring like these Afro fantasy worlds. I super love like when you again like do research and dedicate a lot of time and see like what's kind of, you know, there also culturally. Because again, like I also come from different kind of cultures and also was traveling a lot. So when I so like when I was in my bachelor's, like I traveled to New Zealand, to Australia, I traveled to the West Coast, the East Coast, in America. I have been also like an exchange here in London. So I've been quite a bit around, and I always love to dive into different kind of cultures. So for me, it was super interesting, and also what was very interesting there, I actually got there to Ghana. So we were traveling. It was right before COVID that we traveled there and have been recording musicians, interviewing them, seeing what people are like, you know, thinking, or like what kind of emotions do they have connected with their instruments and stuff. that said, you learned a lot of things and also researched a lot of things, which are kind of, always great, because we, for example, here have a merge of African music and kind of Western fantasy music.
Yeah.
The thing is that that's not African music. I mean, African music is like, it's the same as you would talk about, oh, that's European music. It is very diverse, of course. So it's not a good term in any kind of way. And
it's kind of misleading then.
It's misleading. It's not accurate. It's like, oh, this is the continent and it has some these kind of things, and we have maybe some vague associations with it. Like again, like pointing out to like from the distance, oh, this is European music, right? So they play Mozart, which is great as an Austrian. So that's, but for French or Spain, it might be different. Seeing this differently, that it is not representing like quote unquote European music, and also that what we perceive as those kind of ethnical music is simply more or less quote unquote classical African music. It's basically what we have in certain forms of culture that is like, old music. And this is the same for them. It's old music for them. That is not music that they play on the streets. That's for the tourists.
No.
Same for when you're in Austria. Oh, there's Mozart, right? We always play only Mozart there. That's for the tourists.
Yes.
You have to respect that and have to learn, because people are looking at that and then like, it's stupid. And that's why I always love to go to the people, talk to them, and we did that here, and was a very cool experience and also exchange. And you simply learn a lot, and especially about those, because then you're using also instruments and their meaning differently. And so we recorded a lot, and then we kind of used and also kind of emphasized it, that it's also representing quite well, but also it is a fantasy world. So that's also we merged that kind of worlds, and what came out is the Wagadu Chronicles soundtrack with it.
Yeah.
Unfortunately, the project has been cancelled after like 4 years or so, and it is a big MMO game. That's why also the main theme was more like a bigger step, because it opens up the world.
Oh.
Especially the theme was very interesting to explore. Also, when we have been recording this, people were like humming the theme all the time.
Aww.
Yeah, that's always nice to see, like when something works out, because it is very, it is more like percussive, because of also, when we have been to Ghana and those kind of cultures have a lot of percussive kind of, things going on. Yeah. Don't go into much details because they put the podcast. It was super easy then to hum and kind of thing. Yeah. So what we also did, and then I shut up my mouth. We did actually a Kickstarter with this project like 4 years ago, right before.
Yeah, I noticed a Kickstarter back in 2020.
Yeah, so 5 years ago. So we also did like a music competition where like people interpreted the theme in their kind of instrument and stuff. And it was super fun. We had like 6-7 people really submitting for this, and the idea was also to integrate that into the game and stuff. So it was super fun, and people loved it, and it's interesting. I love exchange and those kind of things, and it was cool to see.
That's amazing. No, so for people who listen in on this and maybe didn't quite get everything, let me just go a little bit more structured about a little bit of the studio information here. So the game The Wagadu Chronicles, sadly cancelled, was created by the Twin Drums. They were remote first in the game studio with employees based in Europe, Africa, and North America. The studio were mainly based in Berlin, from what I understand, and this was together with the majority of female, black, and queer-led core team. And they worked on their debut game, which was Wagadu Chronicles. People that might not know about the game was an African fantasy MMO, and they were kind of going through and polishing it through the Kickstarter that ended back in 2020. They did all the way until 2024 updates with information about what was going on and so on. But for people getting more a little bit in depth, this is a game from the 5th edition of Dungeons & Dragons and is compatible with the tabletop setting. Sadly, as the studio did their last update on May the 8th, 2024, They said that they were struggling financially and have reached the end of the line there. But in total, the final delivery that they did do was the 7th era of the D&D compatible setting book, which includes 770 pages, which is absolute bonkers in my opinion. But it looks really good. It was also a guide to the Afro fantasy, but also including an art book with this. And one thing that really stuck out to me in the video over on the Kickstarter, we can see you.
Ooh, oh no, I hate it.
You look like a DM. You're sitting by the end of the table.
It was so fun. We have been like, oh yeah, Markus, can you come over for like, the Kickstarter? Like, okay. And then we just played it.
Were you in the same space as them? So you were connected in that sense? Or were you there just working, doing your thing, and then they just wanted to borrow you for the Kickstarter video?
So it was their kind of office. And then for the Kickstarter and a few things that just came in. Because I have my studio space where I usually work in. And but yeah, it was super fun.
Okay. But that sounds amazing as well. But considering also this was one of the tracks that is included in the live score Berlin. So when you were working on this track specifically, have you worked with them previous to that, or was this them doing a submission for the live score Berlin?
No, it was also like trying to get a little bit more attention because they have been struggling with things, or like, hey. And of course, it doesn't require, we're not speaking about money, If you're speaking about hundreds of euros or a few hundreds, that's, in comparison what you would have needed or like what you do, it's, a super small kind of investment.
Yes.
And I always was like, hey, it is a great opportunity to do so. I mean, my dream was always like to have also then, some djembes and some other, African featured instruments there, recorded and have, that going forward. But this also needed to have really some budget or like some publisher. And but I was simply then like, hey, you want to join? Because the first session we did like more or less proof of concept.
Okay.
So I was talking early like, hey, that I explained everyone the project and also the associations and the local people and all that kind of, things. And also everyone loved it and everyone want to be involved and stuff.
Yeah.
At the end, nobody wants to pay. So at the end, nobody supported it from neither the land nor the state nor associations. Also the second have almost been cancelled because associations said they want to have, but then didn't. So everything is kind of self-funded, especially the first one. And that's why it was like, hey, it's the test run, that's fine. And the second was more or less even, and also now for the next, it should be kind of even. So I don't earn money with it. That's not the goal. But again, it was more like, hey, this is a test run for it, and also was part of it. And I thought it also could, like, help as good as possible I can with my crafts. Also like with the theme, with the Kickstarter, I tried to simply create even more opportunities or more awareness of stuff, so it can reach more audiences. But yeah, unfortunately,
which is great.
Yeah.
I found it so interesting because it is it was an MMO, and MMOs have this kind of grandness to it, considering all the different MMOs I've been playing throughout my years. So listening in on this and trying to put some more context to it actually being a track for an MMO and a main theme, it feels like I'm going into this grandeur adventure that I can experience the culture and so on. I have no experience with this game now, but I can still kind of feel it. Of course, for me who don't know a lot about African culture overall, of course I've been meeting people from different kinds of parts in Africa, but I haven't really sat down with them and discussed their culture in detail. But I still feel like I would like to go on this adventure. So it worked on me, at least.
That's great. That's great. Yeah.
But when you started working on this, like when you're getting connection with somebody that wants to do the live score thing, like, do they need to do anything previous to that when they get in contact with you surrounding this? Or what's the usual kind of get-go when you're doing something with the live orchestra?
With the orchestra? I mean, usually again, depends a little bit on the use case. Again, every use case is different. So we had like from to this. But the usual thing is that you have at least a track or an idea of a track that simply fits into that. Often it is a main theme, but it's very not limited to it. And you simply then have to see, because we do it kind of yearly, so it's this year also again end of October, that it, that it makes sense. And why I'm doing this is simply that people can sit in there and experience like how musicians play it live, because again, like we are sitting into our holes, isolated, and often a lot of people did not have contact with, and also producers or developers have no contact with, and I want to have them also in there, because then their experiences it, and then they see also the value. Because it's always very, very difficult for us, and it's still super difficult for us, and it is not getting easier to see like, hey, this has value, this has emotional value. Just listen to it, because people, that's too expensive, we never will do this. And it's like, no, this is not an excuse anymore with this concept.
Yeah.
But like, if you want to, or you have something fitting at the moment, because we cannot change like the date to each project, it's not possible, obviously. So it's more like, hey, there's something interesting where this can be useful, and then there's simply either going on the website, also this year have a form so people can already take what they kind of need or not need, because I have very skilled colleagues that can do everything themselves. Great. I don't need to help them. They just take the slot, have fun. Great. But there are also like a lot of people that have never done this, and also help them to create like the arrangements, the orchestration, also the notation, because it's very crucial. If you don't write the notes correctly, you're wasting your money and wasting your time with the orchestra. So having everything very clear and sorted is important. Just people need to, communicate like how we can help. That's it.
But getting the sheets for the orchestra, is that something you do yourself, or do you take help from somebody in order to get those?
That depends. I mean, because I studied composition and also have done lots of workshops, also lots of recordings. So I've been, been a bit around. I've recorded in Budapest, Bratislava, Vienna, and, also a lot with the film orchestra. I usually do them myself, but I often also have help, or people that are there helping each other. Or sometimes also have students, like last year, which I also helped with their scores, but they created themselves, so it's more like guidance. Again, it depends a little bit, like if you also want to have this as an opportunity to look into this, because again, there are not too many where you can do this just for a few $100, and that's why I think it's always a good option to simply see like, hey, might have not done this, but this gives me like an opportunity to get something out easy, and it's also made local or easy to get there, and also can be combined with other things. But in general, because I'm also playing in orchestras and doing lots of notation coming from the compositional side, this is not an issue for me. So I totally know how to orchestrate and notate things, but this is up to everyone how they want to do it. I'm just the person that's then making sure that everything is clear, not wasting the time of your music, because I want to have the music that I record to be great.
Of course.
And also that the orchestra is like, hey Markus, it's great working with you, but this is crap, we can't play this, fuck you. And I'm like, sorry, this was this person, but it's not helping. So I need to organize those things. I'm just here to help.
And I'm guessing, even though you have maybe some like setting, maybe they already have a full track already. It's like, hey, we would like to have this as an orchestra.
Yeah.
It's like, how easy is it for you to create those notations if you have something already that you can listen to, just that they want an orchestra version of it?
Quite easy. It depends a little bit how much orchestrated it is. There are some cases can you create an arrangement? And it's like, it takes a little bit more time, because you then have to create really like the arrangement itself. If it's more or less already having some instruments like, strings or some brass in there, you just take that and orchestrate that. And that's basically it. So it could be already quite easy if there's like a good MIDI or cleaned MIDI. For example, I've done for Sakimoto for Song of Silence last year. I just got the MIDI and got like a proper notation. They've defined a lot of things, so it's more about the orchestration and notation. But I also have like a few cases also this year where it's also a bit about the arrangement. This takes a little bit more time because, you know, if there's nothing basically that's will be recorded, you need to kind of rethink and not rethink, but you know, for this opportunity, which is great, and then simply finding the right arrangement to it. So you have to simply write the lines, basically, that then gonna be recorded. So this takes a little bit more time. That said, it's also great, especially like if it's a successful game or see like, hey, this would be amazing orchestral version. Also last year we did like one pop song that was also reached now 1 million streams.
Damn.
It's for a VR community. And then simply doing an orchestral version with it. And it turned out really great also for the audience. It's like, you know, it's a different version, but it's more emotional or more like this or that. And yeah, was also turned out amazing.
Sounds amazing. Goddamn. I love this. The pure concept of it all and how it's helpful and can definitely help and elevate the sector of video games and music specifically, of course. Like it is so good. So good.
Find me sponsors. Find me sponsors. No, it's okay.
Yeah. No, I'm getting speechless. I like they should put more money into these things because orchestra versions with newer AAA and so on are becoming more and more popular.
Oh yeah, they do.
So it is insane that we don't use this more, or we can get like money to make these kind of things, to make games more grandeur, because it is insane how many people play video games today, considering just 5 years ago.
Oh yeah. But it's also more and more concerts as well. I read like a few articles beginning of the year. Also was again pointing out like a lot of people getting in contact with orchestras because of gaming music is performed in orchestras and and so forth. And it's still great to have that also for the audience when you record it. So it's good to see that kind of circle.
Yeah, we have a lot of different kind of concerts here in Sweden, for example, and what I love about those, you can see my grandparents go to those and they be like, oh, I love this music. But yeah, grandma, I've been playing that game for 7 years already. And they're like, oh, I never figured it out. Yeah, because it sounded bleep and bloopy. So it becomes like something for everybody all of a sudden.
Yeah, which is amazing. That said,
yes,
games getting old. The average player in Germany is around 40 almost. So it's like, we're getting old with games. Old man yelling at clouds. It's
we're yelling at games.
Well, yelling at games because they're like, oh, they were better. And that's why also we see all the rehashes, the things, because now, people have been growing up with those things. Oh, yeah, I've been playing, Age of Mythology again. Why is that? Oh, yes, because I've been growing up with it. Now I'm in the right position to spend money. Okay, we do like a new remastered version after 20 years. That was 20 years ago, It's so stupid. Humans, again, are very, very stupid. It's so predictable.
Yes.
And nobody then uses it as a big surprise. It's always the same.
I feel like there's so many games. I don't need a remake or a remaster. There's so few remasters or remakes that I've been getting back into. Some of these games that might be one or two at most have been those games like, oh, I kind of missed and it's kind of outdated from the when it released originally. Then I played the remaster version, so I got the access to it all of a sudden. That's the only time. I'm not one of those who replays Skyrim 1,200 times and on each console, 100%ing it.
I mean, it's great if you have the time. I don't. I'm stupid.
No, you're busy. Comparing to people that complete Skyrim 12 times, you have a job.
I wish I have a job. What is life?
What is life? But one thing we do know, even if it's not live, we have added another track to the list now that we're going to listen to. I think it's a great segue to change up the pace a little bit and
it's
start
so
laughing
fun. It's so fun.
to more music.
Have fun with this one, yeah.
Great. So the next track that we're going to listen to is from the game BeatSlayer, and this is the level 1 theme or demo. I don't know. Is it demo in the original title or?
I mean, that's the that's a mashup with the orchestra version, I think. So that's simply what we have recorded as well as a mashup option, or like, I mean, it was originally planned as that, so have like, you know, the EDM with the orchestra and also treating it like that, and that's simply from Act 3 a mashup.
Okay, then for everybody listening in, enjoy. Fading out the amazing track from BeatSlayer, Act 3, Level 1, and my emotion for this one. The track is just what's down my alley, my usual alley that be. But let's try not be biased here. So, yeah, this is the Act 3, Level 1, and this has this overhanging vibe that is required of a rhythm game, in my opinion. Trance-like and comes with a whole punch of attitude. The style gives me a vibe of like a futuristic world, much like Cyberpunk or Shadowrun, maybe a little bit to the dark side. Overall, the short electric notes keeps the mind on its toes and still somewhat makes it into this classic hero track, the one that we hear in movies when the hero rises up to the challenge. And like I said before, like this recording started again, it's like, this is so that my jam. It's like this is like drugs for me. I can just inject this into my arm. Damn, I like this. I really love this track.
Yeah, it's was pretty fun. It was a really fun project. Yeah.
But in this one, we can definitely hear that this is a combination, because I'm guessing it's not Kraftwerk who's standing around and making electronic music in the background of this orchestra.
No. I mean, again, what I wanted to show also with that, I mean, the broadly explain like the game. So the game is set in Berlin, in a future world where everyone is kind of dictated by the evil Dieter and is playing like their music, and it's always like everyone has to be in the kind of, you know, pace that he's giving. But our hero, she has headphones and has her own kind of music and own kind of chat.
Ooh.
And so she is simply, you know, going to Dieter and free kind of Berlin from the noise that he is doing. And so we go through some stages, and this is simply one of the end stages, as you might have felt. So we have the grandness to it, and here it's has always been like a, also the other sound, the other tracks, it's more like it has inspiration from the Berlin kind of culture here. So that's also why I worked with two producers or DJs in the scene. So they also really give the vibe for its mainly in its production. So like that they're simply adding some, DJ effects or other things that you usually do when you perform or feels like it is an underground Berlin kind of set, which is amazing. And did really amazing job on this. Like the music itself also got like published with Black Screen Records, and
Great.
I mean, it's really cool music. Unfortunately, the game tanked hard, but I'm sorry, but we also tried our best here. And the track you're listening to is simply a merge of this kind of, last step hero, we're beating up the big crowds of robots with the kind of metropolitan orchestra in the background and morphing it into the beat of the EDM tracks. And it was super creatively super fun to, go back and forth like with the different kind of effects. And it was just fun to explore this kind of combination because it's not so typical. And you also need to be careful that it's not something too... It's tricky to nail. And I think we did a good job. But it's not so easy to find, like, because it can be very cheesy, when you have like an electronic music melody and then with orchestra or worse Weezer, and then it sounds kind of, meh.
Yeah.
So here it's like we did a beat focus and the orchestral kind of effects and the build-ups that it's doing.
Because considering this music as well, when you recorded this with the orchestra, did they have the EDM in the background playing, or were they like totally separate and it's like, oh, you only need to play this, and you combined everything?
In this specific case, we had it more like separated. So it only had like, bass drum and like very, very click heavy because it's very precise on the headphones. And then what I did is like writing the tracks, and then writing the score as one big score that has all the kind of elements of the orchestra lined up in one thing, and then I have produced like 3 tracks of this. So we've done like one 3 or 4 minute music piece that has certain kind of build-ups, phrases, and all that kind of thing, very separately, like 4-8 bars sometimes only, and then the next one, and with that we kind of merged it into the EDM kind of world. That's simply how we did it in this case.
Damn. No, but I got interested in this kind of game when I first listened to the track, and then I looked up the game as well, because I myself have never heard it, which could also be why it tanked so hard, because people might not have heard of it. It is crazy. When I saw this and when I read about the concept of it, it kind of reminded me a little bit of Hi-Fi Rush, which is also this kind of rhythm type of game where the character is playing music with his headphones as well.
Yeah, it's very similar, and simply a lot of some circumstances there are simply very unlucky as well in this case.
But in this case, it felt more like it felt like a love child between Hades and Hi-Fi Rush combined together made BeatSlayer. So I really like the concept of it, and no, but it looked really interesting. So I myself will definitely keep a lookout for this one, and might definitely get it in the future. If it's close in the future or further into the future, I do not know for now, because I still, as many other gamers, have too many games to play.
Oh yes, we all have too many games to play. Mostly all the games you're working on, wasn't it? Oh yeah. Anyway,
exactly.
I'm not talking about this today. Tonight is my
no gaming night, or no?
Let's see how long you can talk. But
yeah, we will not try to make it too long, at least. No, but the studio information about the studio that's behind the game is Byte Rockers Games, and they are a developer and a publisher in Berlin, and they founded back in 2008, just to have that said, so people know a little bit more. And but there are 3 kind of questions that kind of pops into my mind surrounding this project and surrounding the music and so on. Like, considering the application and so on for the Live Score Berlin, is there any limit in how big a studio needs to be or could be for the applications? Like, could AAA utilize this moment, or is this more suitable for really small studios that has like their own kind of priority queue in order to get this?
No, not really. I mean, my focus is that I want to make it approachable for small to mid-sized studios. Because AAA usually have enough money and also have usually big teams And so they have their own schedule and their own needs,
Yeah.
which might not be the best fit for this concept.
Yep.
While, of course, never say no. Again, like, because some also composers that do sometimes AAA have been participating. So it's like, it depends simply on it. But the focus is really more on the kind of, small to mid-sized studios. And we also had like solars, or like solo studios there, or solo persons. That's totally fine. It just needs to be kind of connected to a game or to a concrete project, because that's simply the purpose, that it also brings it to the audience and brings it with the partners in the gaming industry.
Yeah.
So that's more or less the only kind of condition.
Yep.
But other than that, it's no limitation of like how small the studio is.
Okay, great. And next question surrounding this, and this is kind of a little bit connected to what we talked a little bit about in the first track surrounding culture and instruments and so on. So with the orchestra for different kind of projects, usually, I don't know exactly how orchestras is kind of conveyed and so on, but do you usually pick up new instruments into an orchestra depending on the project themselves, or how does that kind of work? For example, if you had more African with the Wagadu Chronicles, did they have some sort of electronic DJ in the orchestra all of a sudden?
Not really, but what we sometimes do is simply getting down to the instrumentation, what they have available. Especially if it's like more, hey, we want to have like a guitar, or hey, we want to have this specific percussion, or marimba, or vibraphone, and want to definitely have the contrabassoon. Awesome, I love contrabassoon. Let's have it in the session. It's simply a conversation of like what you kind of need. Because when I was conceptualizing this, I was also the question like, what kind of instruments and how should I do it? The problem is, when you need to hire every single instrumentalist, you're getting to a price point where this is not doable. I want to have like a price point that's like a no-brainer. And that's why I ended up with kind of the orchestra kind of setup, because there you can have enough playroom for like, I only need like a few solists, or I only need like the strings. I only need like the strings or a bit of flutists. That's fine, because then we can structure the session around it.
Yeah.
The problem is more like when it's like super difficult to get, or is not in the instrumental list of the orchestra. Meaning like, hey, a super fancy ukulele player or whatever. That said, those kind of things are also usually better when they're just recorded separately.
Okay.
So I simply have chosen the orchestra ensemble not because of the size, not because like I want to be only big. It's more like I have enough flexibility with this. I can also go small. I can also go solo. I can also go only with that instrument that is in the big orchestration of the ground setup of the film orchestra. Okay. So that's how I can keep it with the price point. If I have to hire, or like, in general hire more dedicated people for the day, this adds up in the price. And you simply have to see like what makes sense. And of course, you can always do like what a colleague just did, like, hey, yes, we have like a guitarist, we have a drummer. Awesome. It just, they anyways need to record on their own setups. And did a great video with the orchestra. So it's totally fine. Or let's put it like this. More or less everything that is acoustic, we can do with it. Like what is in general, very broad sense of the orchestra in terms of instruments. And everything on top we simply have to see. And if it makes sense even to have like in that session per se. So of course there's always like a little bit of limitations with the concepts. But again, each project is very different. So you simply have to adapt. And also looking at it, the different kind of projects I've been working on in the industry and whatsoever, it simply has the most kind of in common instruments. That's why I have chosen that kind of. That's why it's not like, we're doing only guitars. Live score guitar also, which is also could be a great concept. But then it's extremely niche for the game and for the use case. With those kind of instruments we have in the orchestra, even though you can really go smaller, because sometimes people think, this track is so small, the orchestra is way too big. I'm like, come on, you have single instruments lists that you can use, so don't be afraid. You can always scale down, but it's difficult to scale up, of course. So that's why the concept is like this.
Yeah. And considering all the different kind of skills and so on you might need in order to make all this kind of like lock together and work, which has been the most useful skill in your opinion when you've been working with this project?
With LiveScore?
Yeah.
Handling stress.
Handling stress. But is that connected to just getting everything together for the recording session that it can be so hectic around?
So the thing is that you always need to have a good plan and good organization. You need to have everything properly lined up, that everything is perfect for the session itself, so it notes that you miss money or like miss a minute of recording session because something has been fucked up. So organizing all those kind of things and the complexity of it, that's quite a bit. So you need to be, of course, stress resistant to always keep like the overview of like what's going on, when to pause, like when you let talk more, when you have more input with the orchestra. So it's, for me, especially as an organizer in this, you have to have like good stress resistance, but also always keeping an overview, like what's the best decision in this situation, or like reading the room a lot. Like, how is the orchestra feel? How is the person feel? Like, is everything fine? Because each project has their own kind of difficulties. Each person is different. It's big surprise. So you have to deal with a lot of different kind of people. Have to explain it, of course, and also be very concrete. Like, hey, there you go there to this time. There you do this. This scores need to be like this. I need to have this, and everything is fine. Because again, this is more or less an indie kind of project for a price point that's, so it is kind of tight in the schedule. Yeah, which is fine. Everything is doable, but everything simply needs to be quite on time. That's why making quick decisions to have a smooth and the best outcome for everyone is a good thing. Problem is like a defined skill is difficult to name. It's more like
of course.
That's why I'm saying it's more like, yes, know yourself, like keeping the stress, and even though like there can be some, you have to read the room, you have to understand a lot of complex things one at a time. Yeah. So having those things is great as an organizer. Oh, Jesus Christ, why I'm doing this? No, but
now you get perspective and you feel the chaos.
The chaos,
in, right?
That's right, yeah, like going through the chaos and diving right into. But no, everyone is professional there. Like they're really
that is amazing,
And people also, composer colleagues that have also been there, also pointed it out, like, oh wow, that's really professional. We're like, oh, do people really know what they do? Like the recording engineers, the musicians, everyone wants the best for you. That for the project, it's gonna be great. But it is, it has limited time. Yeah. But you get something great out of it, which you don't really can do so easily by your own. And that kind of skill sets are good. So we have a good understanding of music, also of good understanding of diverse music, good understanding of people, of communicating in all sorts of kind of regimes. Also organizing those things. So those are maybe the toughest skill sets when you do organize those things. When you be like a participant, it's just like you need to have like a good idea like what also you may want to, but you have also may not been in any kind of way in this position. So again, the concept is that you can be in the position and have this experience, because it's so difficult to get this experience in any kind of way. Yeah, I was very privileged that I got it in my university, and I think a lot, and also in some workshops and other things I've done. But some people might have never had the experience or could have had that experience. Yeah. So it can be a very good testing, like how does this feel? How overwhelming is it? Because for one or two that never have been working with this, that's been very overwhelming. So you have to be very kind of, hey, how do you do it? Like you have to help them, you have to guide them. And some others are like, hey, I know exactly what I want to have. Here we go, and have just fun. So it depends a lot on the person. So knowing your music, also can read notes, because you also have the score there, and you want to give feedback. You want also to have like some influence on like how things are maybe be played. So have a bit of that good inherited in yourself is good with live musicians, but it's not a requirement. Again, this is exactly there for the use case that people can feel that. And this is like, because we have so many layers, if you don't have anything like specific, we're always here to make it even better. So don't be afraid.
Awesome.
Sorry, I talk a lot. Jesus Christ.
No, well said. Well said. No, but we're running a little bit on time here. It is time for the third track of this week, which is also the last track of this week. I did select the BeatSlayer in order to curveball this episode a little bit, but the other two tracks is picks that you did. And the last track that we're going to listen to is from the game Pause and Leaves, A Last Tale, and this is the main theme. The main theme from Pause and Leaves, A Last Tale. As you hear in this, there are many string instruments, and there's a darkness that kind of exists that makes it sad, almost depressing. This track is very emotional right from the get-go, and I get this kind of grandness to this track. And what I mean about that, I can see this kind of large environment, the camera that shows the vista, and it's just beautiful. Overall, I like this track. It is beautiful. It brings the sadness in the right way that grasps the listener. So overall, with this one, it's like, it is so calm and nice. It's not usually my get-go in music, but this is definitely something I can listen to relax, to meditate to. And considering this is a main theme as well, people might already note some sort of structure in the live score Berlin. It seems like you do a lot of main themes. Is that a big thing to do main themes?
Not always. We also have done like a few other things, like for example, BeatSlayer was not the main theme, or a few others where have been like, tracks, or there was also one like last year we did more adaptive music as well. So like really having separate kind of instruments play in one go. But it simply depends a little bit on the use cases. But of course, a main theme is also usually that, for example, what you play live.
Yeah.
So it simply and also like when you present one track, when you want to usually go with the main theme of a game, that's also simply more or less the essence of the player experience, because we all have limited time the attention span is 3 cents nowadays, and
yeah.
so it's like you have to limit those things. When you see like unlimited, it's usually the big impact point of use tracks.
Yeah.
And that's why, of course, it is often a main theme also used. And it's also a thing because then the player kind of perceives it when for example, firing up the game and then being the main theme, main menu, you hear the music more or less without too much going on.
Yeah.
So like where the player attention is quite on spot is simply in that moment. Or maybe in the credits, or maybe in the cutscene, or in the trailer. So that's why those kind of things are very often or common.
Yeah. But considering you as a gamer as well, it's like how many time do you spend in main menus?
Oh, Jesus Christ. That's a good question.
Like none, right?
What are
it's like
games?
usually...
I'll do that.
I've been just staring at screen and pictures. I don't game.
What? No. I go to the phone and do those. You then just those diamonds. I like diamonds.
Yeah, you can purchase them for real money, right? Those diamond packs.
Oh, Jesus Christ.
No, but considering, like you're saying, it's like the main theme is always the pure essence, like the red thread that kind of will be
not
conveyed
always,
throughout.
but depends highly on the
But
game,
a lot of times it usually does.
Sorry?
A lot of times it usually does have some sort of red thread, and kind of comes the core essence of the game itself through the main theme. But at the same time, as gamers, we just want to start the game and get slaying, right? Like, usually you don't tend to put a lot of time in the main menu unless there's an option.
It depends.
Right?
If the music is good, or you stay there. We had that in our last release, where like people really like hardcore mentioning the main menu theme song a lot, even though the menu is super super short and there's nothing really going on. When you scroll down like Rainbreaker, even though like the studio closed, and it was the 7th studio that closed we have been working with this year. Long story short, it was interesting year. That showed me again, like, people really listen to this. Like, people keep attention on it, especially when it's like very good. People really literally pointing this out on Steam on the comments. So I think it still has kind of some relevance to have like at least music that's very representative of the game, and then it often plays simply in those moments where the player starts, or is in a moment where it simply can't be perceived. And of course players sometimes go just right into, but if the first like 10-20 seconds are really captivating, which usually also the music is, then people may stay longer and then associate like the game with it, and then it comes again in the game, and then it comes back, and then you're up back in the main menu, and then you're like you hear it has all those connections.
Yeah, I can definitely agree to that. And one thing that kind of portrays it a little bit better, in my opinion, is the fact that it's like when you're thinking about a main menu theme and you get it on your head, it kind of becomes like a virus. You will go around and hum it and so on. At least that's what happens for me. Is like if I hear a great track, I usually go around and hum it and become almost kind of obsessed with it. And I love those kind of feelings that I get. And I tend to get really like obsessed with soundtracks and listen to one soundtrack for a full week, just one soundtrack. And that happens a lot. But considering this one it felt very emotional and so on, and it feels like I need to talk a little bit about the game or the portrayal of the game. So I'm just going to read what it is a little bit about the game over on the Steam page that they have. So they basically say that the life passes in front of you as you are about to die. And in this game, you will play as the fox Me. And on their journey, you're finding his memories over his last journey. Experience a touching and emotional tale. And I kind of like this one. Surrounding the main theme that I'm listening to, it feels like it's not a memory per se, but it's kind of that lost, forgotten memory that I just found in a sense. As I'm hearing the track conveying what the context of the game is. Now, I think and I believe it is very fitting, but at the same time, I'm starting to think about this sense, like when I'm looking at level design, for example, if a player that plays a game thinks about the level design, it feels like I am leading them as a designer. I want the players to feel great, like they accomplished something, they led themselves. How do you? What is your standpoint on music in that sense? In video and movies, you usually add the emotion in the music to make the crowd who watch a movie feel a bit more sad or feel more adrenaline or pumped for something. But it is different with music, so I want to hear a little bit on your thoughts on this.
Like related to the game or in general?
Yeah,
mm-hmm.
Related to a game.
Yeah.
How you think about it?
Yeah, sure. I mean, here I'm also a sucker for those kind of emotional and sad stories. As I mentioned again, like also have been teaching, and people usually forget that we need to be sad. We always need to be happy, especially children. Always need to be happy. You know, they can't be sad. So every children's song is happy, right?
Yes.
So what do people then play the most when you're a child? The sad songs, because that's more connected with them, what they might actually feel here and there. So in general, our role, of course, when we now got into like scoring for those things, we simply need to emphasize those things that make the player or feel something, and feeling sad or tragic, but also like the hope that comes with it, or you know, the emotion in this case. This is an experience, you know, what people then have, and trying to reflect that as good as possible with it is simply our job. And with the skill sets, and you know, it's often very mechanic, funny thing, you know, to create very emotional things. And here it's like, you know, when you go like in minor, when you go like this, or strings, you know, make things sad. But also to make it good and fitting, it's not so easy. Yeah, I mean, for me, again, it's really about each kind of game, its perception, and what we simply want to achieve with it, and how we can simply achieve an emotional response that the person is attached to it. I mean, for me, for this kind of genre, Ori and the Blind Forest, of course, is one of the best.
Yeah.
In this regard, because it has such a big attachment to like the things that you know, the creatures you play. And you know, when it's then like with the background story, the sadness around it, it needs to, you know, reflect that. And it's then nice to see like when we have progress, it gets better, and you know, all this kind of thing. And then coming back, it's very sad but happy, or not. So again, it's about the experience.
Yes, indeed. Considering also this track specifically, it doesn't feel like it's too much layers, since it's so calm and
it's quite
have the sadness on it. Yeah. So considering this and the pictures I've seen from the recordings, it seems like there's a lot of musicians in this recording room. Like, what's the usual average, and how many is able to fit in the recording studio surrounding the orchestra then?
We have about the maximum of about 50 people. So the whole orchestra, including like the percussionists and timpani and all brass players and stuff, we're around 50 players. That's kind of the max we can go. Yeah. Because that's simply the standard kind of thing. What they have there, and a lot of, and from there you can always go smaller. You know, you can only have a string quartet. You can only have like brass. You can leave out, you know, the woodwinds, or you know. So from there, it's always then simply a matter of choice for the musical emphasis that you want to achieve. And here, for example, we have a solo coming at the very beginning. It's also not played with violin, but it's played with viola, which is very uncommon. So that's why I love doing that. No, it's again, you can do whatever you want at the end, but understanding like how you can orchestrate those to emphasize different kind of feels. Like, this is a very intimate and small feel, and you simply achieve that by a smaller group of people playing. And then when it goes up, for example, like more towards the middle or ending part, of course more instruments come in, so it feels more bigger and has this dynamic. And with that, you know, only because there are 50 people, you don't need to use 50 people. You can only use 15 or 10 and have a bigger impact for the player in certain amount of points, or in the piece in certain amount of points. You know, you have like a section where it's really only 10 people, and then a section that's like full orchestra, and you have the dynamic, the full range, amazing. And then have like even that felt with the audience or like following the track. So you can utilize it simply with this kind of size, and can always downsize to exactly that emotion, which portrays the music the best and makes the best feel to it.
Yeah. Usually, when it comes to the different emotions and so on through instruments, is this something more based in theory, or is it more based in experience for a composer? Like, if you want to make something sad, is it theoretically like, oh, you should go for these kind of instruments, or is it more because of your experience that you can say, oh, we need these instruments in order to kind of reach out for a certain emotion from a player?
I mean, again, I'm a stupid human being. If I go like with my personal thing, then we're gonna do this my personal thing, and then we're gonna be sad. But it might be a different sad than what you actually want, or is maybe good for the game. So at the end, you need to simply understand what kind of feel certain instruments can achieve in how you orchestrate it, how you arrange it, what they play, how they play it, how you communicate what they should play. So it simply has a lot of layers to it. That said, it's usually often the knowledge that you need to have, and then deciding based on the knowledge, like, hey, and then going from there, is this the right thing? So it's like always like the balance again. Like you have the knowledge, the deep knowledge of like, hey, these are my possibilities, and this is like how they usually kind of sound and be combined. And then you have like the use case, or like the emotional kind of essence, what we want to achieve with the game, and then choosing with this pull together, like, okay, this is the soundtrack, or this is the choice for this soundtrack. So you have, in best case, you have simply both, or that sometimes you also have orchestrators that doing that for you. So like, especially in Hollywood, you have always this, you have the composer, because often especially higher up, you're quite busy with stuff. And then you have like orchestrators helping you for exactly this, translating what you want to have like created digitally to bring it to the exact, or like at least emotionally, to a very good or also professionally orchestrated thing. If this is not in your kind of ballpark, or have not the time to do so. So getting then a professional help is also fine. We also had like 2 cases last year that also had like orchestrator. So this is also again very optional, but it again depends. Having a good knowledge brings simply a lot of opportunities and creative feel that makes also the soundtrack different and very specific, and very fitting for that use case.
Yes.
Then this is just like a string pad, and let's have all the strings play, and sounds bland, even though it sounds great because of orchestra, but don't add too much more. If you add a depth orchestration to it, it's like
Okay. In your case, when we're talking about knowledge and experience and so on, is it when you're traveling and finding new instruments that kind of becomes this experience and knowledge, or do you usually tend to do any research yourself, maybe on your computer, searching for different instruments, or finding somebody that is really good at an instrument in a certain way that you didn't think about initially?
I mean, I had the luck that I had, bachelor, master, and a lot of workshops. So through that, you'll learn like a very, very good base.
Okay.
So there simply had the luck to, then you have wildness coming, explaining, or also what I really, really, really recommend, play instruments. Do understand how instruments work, how they are played, and how a fucking tone is made with that instrument, to understand why you should write like this and not like that. Or, because sometimes people only grew up with the digital version of it, which is fine, you can create awesome things with it, That said, it sometimes simply sounds bland or not used right, quote unquote unnatural.
Yep.
Because the context of like how the instrument usually is played is simply missing. So having, simply looking it up also makes sense. Listening to it, have, education where you can have it. It can also be online, of course. There's super things, and also, especially on very niche things, I also do my research online, and then I simply look up like certain instruments and see like, oh, that's interesting. But often what I also do is getting back to my books. So I have like a few orchestration books or like books with instruments in there, because they're, that might not be online or, so easy accessible, because, usually then, YouTube covers, the most basic ones because that's the most popular.
Yeah.
But like the super niche thing you might not find there because that's the algorithm don't support it. So why should people do it? So that's sometimes you don't find those things then on certain platforms. So don't limit yourself to like one thing. Primarily, play instruments. That always will help. Like, just have like a gist, like how string instrument has been played, and then like, oh, how it's resonating and what difficulty they have, or what kind of sound can produce, or might be interesting to explore. Same for wind instruments. Yeah. So playing makes a huge difference to have a better understanding sometimes with an instrument, and then also even helps a lot for the digital creation sometimes. So it only has benefits when you do have a good education or educate yourself with it.
Great. I really love that answer. It gives a little bit more to the perspective of it, and I love like your explanation of it. It's like how it works for you and how it can help people.
I don't know. I know shit. I just blubber.
You're good at talking, then. Friend.
I hate myself talking, but yeah.
Well, I love hearing you talk and share your experience and what you've been going through with this. So I find it very interesting, at least.
Hopefully, it's entertaining, at least.
Yeah. I love that it's informative. That's what I love about it. And I'm sitting here smiling, listening in, and enjoying the music. So I'm doing what I'm supposed to do, and you're talking, so you're doing what you're supposed to do. No, but we are getting to the end of the show as well. We've been talking for quite some time. And before we're closing down, I just wanted to talk a little bit about the studio information and a little bit more about Pause and Leaves. And just the studio information about, so the studio behind Pause and Leaves is the studio Grownarts, who is basically a small studio with a sole proprietorship represented by Florian Hayes. I'm a little bit unsure if it's only him or if it's a couple. From what I understood, looking at LinkedIn and so on, there might be 2 to 10 people working at this company. But every time I see anything, it only is this Florian who is shown. So, but the studio is based in, I guess, I'm going to read it Break, but I guess it could be Brake or something like that in Germany.
Brake, yeah.
Brake, yeah. But I couldn't find any information about when this studio was founded. And for people that might be interested in this game and want to know more about it, as this episode is released, it should be really close, if not already released, with the Kickstarter. So people should definitely check that one out, as it is going live during August 2025.
Yes, and I think it's also it will be live when the podcast is airing, so please check out the Kickstarter. They're doing, the game for quite a bit, and it's always tough for an indie studio because they're very small. It's mainly Florian, but also their girlfriend and a few other people helping. So it's, they're super lovely, and they're developing the game with the little fox, and just check it out, and that would be awesome.
Yeah, that is great. No, but those were, I would say, 3 different kind of games. We had 3 different, very, very different kind of tracks as well, in all honesty. This super calm one that felt more like a hero kind of thing, bombastic, and then one that is more EMD, cyberpunk in my case, vibe. So I think that shows a little bit the width of what this orchestra is capable of, or the work you do together with it. Before we're closing down everything, I have 2 questions that I always ask the composers working with this.
Oh no.
And the first and foremost I want to ask you, maybe we already touched on this, but what is the biggest challenge when you're working with the Live Score Berlin project? Except the stress now, though.
do you want to have like an honest answer, or?
Of course, if you're able to give an honest without feeling like if you're sharing it, you will be shut down, that would be an honor.
Yeah, humans are difficult. No,
we already talked about this, Markus.
Just music, no humans. Yeah.
So you want all music to be AI?
No,
is that what
that was not my. Oh, Jesus, please, no. That was not what I have said. Just said that humans are very difficult. No, but it's actually it was always super fun. It is always super fun to work with live instruments, and it keeps me very running. And also like the feedback that I got from the people, especially when you go, it's like so rewarding, you know.
Yeah.
But I think the most difficult thing is sometimes because of its complexity, and that's why people don't have done it before. And now I do understand why, because it's complete bullshit at the end. Because you have to deal with a lot of parties, and they also have been like sometimes parties that do have also a lot of subcontracting, which then makes it difficult sometimes to have the information, because I have to deal with a lot of information chains with a lot of people.
Yeah.
And then if like one small thing has like 5 people and the last people that doing actually the notes do something else than I originally said to my contractor.
Yeah.
That could be,
so communication.
Yeah,
has
that
been
can be
challenging.
sometimes stressful, and it also makes no sense because those kind of bigger chains usually have them with other people, or I also had like one thing is like because they're so, oh yes, I'm the Hollywood arranger, you have nothing to say. I'm like, I'm organizing this shit. You have to do please the notation like this. And I know the notation is great what you do, but we have like everything else and every single other party perfectly done their notation like we said we do, because then it's aligned with everyone in the session. They just want to have their own thing, which is fine. But then, so those kind of things have been tricky. But this is just like 2% or 3% because we have been like 24 different kind of projects recording the last 2 years. So I think it's still a very, very good rate. But it's always a learning process as well to simply say like, hey, I need to have also the information earlier for them. Of course, it's not always like one-sided problem. I'm a human being and I'm shit and I also have problems. And
yes,
of course, I also might do them. But also like, people also fuck up a lot. So you have to put in a buffer. That's why we have a buffer. So that you can fuck up when you're shit, which is fine. So then we sit together and say like, hey, this is shit, so let's do it together better. And
so basically, even if you fail, you will come back stronger, that is.
When you plan for it. Of course, nothing can be perfect. And that's why I'm also doing it. I know that maybe sometimes things can run perfect.
Yeah.
Or like, because it's tight, but it's fine. At least it is there. So that is more important sometimes for me personally.
Yep.
Which people can completely disagree with. You can, completely disagree with.
Of course.
I just, if you create something like this, that's fine. And having less kind of, that's also why I have trying to a little bit more streamlined this year, like a little bit more concrete, like who's the spokesperson and blah, blah, blah. Again, it's a learning process.
Exactly. So moving from the challenge then, of course I want to ask the other question on the yin and yang of it all. So considering with this project and so on, what is the greatest achievement you think in your own opinions? Like what are you most proud of with this? Is it that you succeeded in something that was very challenging and you really just got those nuts out of it? Or what was it?
To be honest, there are like 24 projects that would have never been recorded live, or I don't know, 40, 50 people that would have never had more or less the thought or opportunity to record with this orchestra or have the experience or bring this to the people out of nothing. This I think is I would say is the biggest achievement, because
That is a good achievement.
it would have not been existent. Like the opportunity would not be existent, the people coming there, the end products wouldn't be existent without that concept, without like the initiatives that we're doing this.
That is absolutely beautiful. Definitely. That is a great achievement. One of the best, I would say. In all the different conversations we started with the challenge and the achievements, 100% hands down, this is the best one. No, but the reason why I'm saying this is not just about you feeling the achievement or pride. This is actually something that goes out to a lot of other people as well. You're creating opportunities for so many people, and in the end, we get an end product that is just beautiful to a lot of people.
Yeah, again, like this, that's nice.
Yeah, and all I can say is just thank you for making this opportunity happen as well.
Yeah, I always think like for me at least, like what can you do on top of like the usual, oh yes, I'm a composer. Yeah, of course. A lot of people claim that.
Whoa, starting your beef right at the end, right?
Again, like I'm shit. I don't know anything. But for me, it's like what can I do on top of it? Just like taking commissions and that's it, or like just writing music and what then? Writing the next symphony that people are seriously interested. Okay, cool. I can do for me. But what does it bring for others? It doesn't.
Yeah.
And when I see like an opportunity that's interesting, or see like, hey, this is kind of a good match. Like, hey, it's bridging the music, the film and game industries, for example, here locally a bit more, because they're always going abroad or somewhere else. But we have locally so many great musicians just need to be utilized, or need to find concepts that utilize those things, pointing out that you can do this when you can do this together. And that's simply it,
Yeah. Great. So this is kind of the point where we will close the bag, where we talk about Live Score Berlin. We've been talking for such a long time now surrounding this topic. And we're going back a little bit to focus on you again before we actually close the episode. And I just want to just get a little bit on your perspective and view here. What is the next point that kind of goes out for the studio, or for you in this case? Like what's next for you? If there's anything you can talk. Of course, there's a lot of NDAs and so on, so we try to avoid those, of course. I'm just pointing that out for everybody, including you. But is there anything you can talk about? Of course, we can promote a little bit more about the project itself, so you can present it.
I think because a lot of has been a little bit in flux, and a lot of releases we had like beginning the year. So now it's a lot of slowly like starting projects, or like one or two continuously projects. So I think the next one, which is quite fun and also will be around, is Schrott. So it's like a small raccoon driving game, which is super fun. Okay. And also there's something I have to see if because there will be an upcoming patch and trailer for a game that we have been also working on for quite a bit, which was also part of Live Score the very first time, and won the Best Audio Award last year. So there's going to be a complete new terrain and trailer for this. So this will also be coming, and also for Gamescom. Yeah, I mean, there's always projects coming up and along, and also own projects again, which will be also quite interesting. But the biggest one is still like now for preparing the stuff also for this Live Score event, because it's gonna be also in best case scenario even bigger than last year. So
bigger, better.
Bigger, better.
stronger scooter.
Oh yes, Marcus, let's make a complex thing even more complex, or 3 times as complex. Yay, good job. Oh, I hate my life.
You said you didn't want any free time, right?
Yeah.
You don't have any games to play, apparently.
My boss is horrendous. But yeah. No, it just...
You need an assistant.
Assistant telling me like, hey, that's not gonna work. Hey, you have to do this, or maybe let's do this not and this one. That's it's like, yeah, we'll figure. And then I work through, the day. But it's fine. So
That's good. And for people that maybe want to get in contact with you, let's start with, if somebody wants to join in for the applications for the Live Score Berlin, there is a way to apply for this. Can you share how people can get in contact with this if they're running a small studio, or maybe they're a solo dev working on their own project and have some hundred of euros just lying around for music?
Oh yeah, that would be amazing. I mean, usually it's a combination of like the producers or the composers, or depending on like what they have. Sometimes also the developers wrote their music and then want to have it also with the orchestra. We also have some cases like this. Again, it's open up basically for everyone that simply wants to be part of it, or has also like an opportunity with it coming with the game project. So the easiest would be simply going through the website and clicking on the form, and then clicking through the form and submit. That's basically so everything is there. Like, hey, you want to have like one slot for one track, and then like, hey, do you need help? Do you not need help? And what's the game about? Drop your message, and that's it. And then we get everything. Or you can also write an email. We did also last year's, usually with emails where people simply reach out or write me a message. So that's, don't be afraid. I mean, I put with a lot of effort the form together, and I love it, and it's great. The problem is it also may scare people a little bit. So if you have kind of you don't know yet, or need more information that is not there, or not visible, because we're always still working on like that people, because it's more complex and it's difficult sometimes to explain. It's not the 3-second issue of like attention span and human beings. Jesus Christ, human beings.
The TikTok era we're entering.
To deal with that. And
it's horrible. Holy crap. We're so used to sitting, we put in the cassette in the Commodore Atari, and it takes 15 minutes to just load. It's like, we're just going out to play, and then we forget about the game, come back, and it's like, oh yeah, we started a game. Kids today, if it's not starting in 5 seconds, they're like uninstalling it or throwing away the phone for some reason. I don't know. People are weird.
Yeah, so again, like if there's anything you have questions about, we also may have like a few composers did videos last time. Again, it's always great. I mean, we also have footage that we have in the videos, but also like how you can utilize. You get like a video recording with it. You get like the full mix as well if you want to. You get the full recording data, and also have like 1 or 2 people that can join also the session. I think it's always a good experience to be physically there to simply experience it. And you can also be there for the whole day and experience it.
Damn. That is amazing to just have that opportunity as well. Just to be able to be there, see the magic happens. Not just like, oh, I got this. Could have done it anyway, and just faked the material and then just did it with samples. No, but it's absolutely amazing. I love that you're doing this, and this is why I'm so excited to have had this talk with you, and to talk a little bit more about Live Score Berlin and the project of what it's about, and give the knowledge out to the people. Even if most of my listeners might be more of people that just loves VGM, there might just be the developer or a guy who knows a developer that shares this episode to them, and that will be the opportunity they need to break through by getting in contact with you and doing the application, and succeeds in that and gets that track done in the end.
Sure.
It's
again,
just
like,
magic.
Yeah, it's magic. So if we also have like, VTubers or other things, like everything that's connected or like, interesting as a new media or connected with the gaming industry, it's a perfect opportunity, you know.
So I have a podcast. If I need a new theme, or is podcast old all of a sudden?
Like,
Chris,
each podcast,
Chris, you can try.
Yeah. Now each podcast, starts with a 3-minute orchestral song.
Exactly. No, I will just use 15, 20 seconds, and then I will just lower the rest. Have it in the background, It needs to be loopable, right? No, but in all honesty, it's been so much fun to talk to you. And we talked a little bit about where they can reach out to you. If they want to get in contact with you specifically, is there any way they can reach out to you?
Yeah, it's Discord or LinkedIn, or also like my email, which is markus@audiocreatures.com. So yeah, don't be afraid of my Oscar Wilde profile pic.
Yeah, you look like a royalty in your profile pics. Sitting there with a ring, and you have the pelt on. It's like, damn, you got style. It looks great, though. It looks great. No, I don't think there's anything I have on top of my mind. If something, I might have missed it. But do you feel like I've missed something that you're like, hey, I really just want to have this said?
No, it's fine. It's awesome to be here, and also have the opportunity to simply, talk about all those things. And if also people enjoy the music, they can of course check it out. I mean, you have also linked like Spotify, which is fine. I just don't like Spotify too much. They also have AI investments in Wars weapons right now. They have the AI bands there. I'm trying to may focus on other things as well, because it's anyways for the mass, meaning when you hear our music or my music, even though I have 4-digit monthly listeners, it does not pay, meaning there's nothing coming. I mean, you can still listen to it. That's totally fair. But you can also check out Bandcamp and anything else than this. So that's why it's fine. It's just my focus is not on the streaming services. Usually it's usually on the games and supporting them. And I've been working on big things, but usually it's not too much public, so that's why I simply prefer to the more local games as well. Because also there you can support us in listening or even considering buying the albums there, also with the orchestras in there.
Great. No, like I always say, the best way to support the composers is actually just buying them directly from a services like Bandcamp and such, but also purchasing the games they have been working on, because it's a great way to keep the studios alive so they can employ the different composers again,
Yeah,
it's amazing
and
how everything works.
And leave a good comment.
Leave a comment, like and subscribe.
Like and subscribe. No, it's interesting because sometimes you do then research on other things, which and also comments on certain things, and it's always nice to see that the sound or the music is then pointed out very positively. It's often that I didn't have the luck with a game that reaches too much of an audience. I mean, the biggest one is still, I think, Terrascape, with about 2,000 comments, which is great. So check it out as well if you want to.
Great.
But yeah, I'm trying to do my very best. It might often appear very big because I got some placements or big involvements, which is great.
Yeah.
But for the artist side of things, it's usually very small. So again, what you said is totally correct, and also appears to a lot of other colleagues as well. If you want to support them, then do that more or less directly, because Spotify is only for the mass. And unless you have a big game success, you are not really able to reach that mass that actually gives you an income.
Yeah, they're even if you're getting 20,000 listens, you're basically not getting shit.
Yeah, or again, in my case, 80-90% of the tracks not even getting a revenue because they don't pass the 1,000 listeners on Spotify, because Spotify is shit. Sorry. But yeah.
But that is the reality. Even if it is shit and we don't maybe want to talk about it publicly, that is exactly what the reality is. Not a lot of composers are earning like any money on their work. And in my opinion, I think that's an issue because they're making so much magic to us to enjoy and love and adore music-wise. And this is why I do this podcast.
No, it's just amazing. It's
yeah.
It's fine. Again, like it's that's also why I have like the orchestra, because it points out value and also gives like a taste of the value, and also creates more communication, because always people say, it costs thousands of euros to do so, and it's only limited to AAA, which is not true. And so yeah, you can always have good quality and also then have more awareness and hopefully getting more people to also invest into this.
Yeah, definitely.
So,
and I believe those will be
speaking a lot.
yeah. No, but that will be the end of the show. Those are the last words for it. So yeah, thank you so much, Markus, for joining my side to talk about the subject of live scoring with an orchestra. It has been an honor and a blast to talk to you. Or in my case, listening to you, though.
Listening to my monologues, and people are like, Jesus Christ, what the fuck is talking to this person here?
No, but yeah, for people listening in on this episode, this was episode 61 together with Markus Zierhofer. And if you find this episode interesting and you want more of this, you find Gameable Audio over on Spotify, Amazon Music, Apple Podcasts, Pocket Casts, and just don't forget to subscribe and like our YouTube channel. Feel free to follow and comment on one of our social medias as well. You can find us on either Facebook or on Instagram. You search for Gameable Audio and you'll find me there. And for people that want to give a little bit extra for all the work that I put into the interviews, but also mainly the work that I put into making these episodes, you can support me by becoming a Patreon backer. And for people that are Patreon backers, if I get any sort of loot or anything from a composer or a developer, of course, everything goes directly to our Patreon backers. For the middle tier and the larger tier, which is $5 or $10, you will also gain merch like stickers and a mug with the Gameable Audio logo. So yeah, if you want to support me and get a little bit extra on top of that, just become a Patreon backer. The current awesome backers that we do have today is Daniel Onemark, Mike Björkholm, Lars Schenström, Titti Schenström, Kevin Wikström, Sandris Wikström, Mats El Kebab och Tapper Holmqvist, and Alexander Halldén. And I didn't say this previously, but links to where you can either buy and support some of the works that we've been talking to about today, they will be found in the episode description. And surrounding the next episode theme, I will be taking a small little pause, and this is just for me because I need to get settled because I am moving from Sweden to Finland. And when this episode is live on the 4th of August, I will be doing my first day at Moonloot Games or Moonloot Studios, which is a Netflix studio. So yeah, just bear with me a little bit and I will get right back into the saddle of making more Gameable Audio episodes shortly. And the podcast music theme that was, as always, composed by the amazing Thor Myrdal. So with that said, I want to thank everybody for listening in on this week's episode. And take care and see you guys next time.
See you.